Right, JP, welcome to the Unlocking Human Performance podcast.
Thank you, mate. Looking forward
How
to
are
it.
you? You all right?
Can't complain, really. I'm
Good,
sitting
good.
sitting with you, and we're talking good things in life. I'm looking forward to that. So
Awesome.
happy to be here.
So, JP, my guest today, a high performance leader of nearly 2 decades in elite sport, including stints at top clubs like Ajax, Club Brugge, Watford. He knows the grind of elite culture and the cost that sometimes can come with it. But JP, we're the first to tell you smooth sailing isn't where the good stories come from. He's failed forward, learned hard lessons, and now helps others to get in the 1% better every day. His obsession, the human side of performance, culture over chaos, trust over tactics. He champions conscious leadership, encouraging us to pause, reflect, and lead ourselves first. JP believes that real growth comes from genuine connection and the right environment. As he puts it, get the environment right, and the people don't just perform, they enjoy the journey. He's also seen the dark side of 24/7 performance culture and now builds systems where people and purpose come first. These days, he coaches, speaks, mentors, and most of all, asks better questions. He is relentlessly curious, a bridge builder between worlds. He loves being around people who are pushing the boundaries, just like this podcast is intended. So get ready for a high energy, human conversation on leadership trust, unlocking the extra 1%, and now the brilliant JP. How's
Wow.
that for an introduction? All right.
No, not too bad, mate. Happy you wrote that.
Pardon?
I'm happy you wrote that.
It was a little bit of help, let's be honest,
Yeah, okay, okay. Well,
with
that's okay.
some
No,
with
it's
some
good.
technology, but
Uh, um, yeah,
no, so
impressed.
thank you very much for when I was certainly when I was looking at kind of creating this, I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I think one of the conversations when we first met, I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the first names that went on. I think I reached out to you straight away. I said, I've got this idea.
Yeah,
Are
you
you up
did,
for it? And
and I
so
am.
thank you very much for being on. Is there anything from what I've my introduction you'd like to add?
No, I like the trust over tactics and connection. Human connection comes first. I really couldn't think of a better one myself. I really enjoy that one, and that's the thing that I would like to discuss with you because life in pro sports is ruthless, relentless, but can we find human connection still in that 25/8 demanding environment? And that's my question. That's also a question I have for you in return. Do you think we
Uh,
can have
well,
that, and how to build that? Because that's everyone wants that to have that shared purpose and belonging and community and tribe feeling. But there's so many people just drained, directionless, and I truly believe that you can build it if you take your time and you do it with the right intentions. People will hop on and enjoy the ride together with you and make it an even better one because it's a shared responsibility, and it's something I would like to discuss today as well because I find that one important to well, to spread the word on that. And that's what you do as well with your podcast. And that's why I'm super excited to be on and to learn from your guests and from you and from all the people listening and just have that cross pollination going on.
uh, and I love that, and definitely there's going to be some exploration of that over the next,
Yeah.
45 minutes or so. So I guess for me, what is, you know, I always get the impression, when I we do this, there's always that, why your work matters right now. And I think you've touched on that a little bit. So would you explore that? So why is it, you're very passionate about what you do, and I'm just curious where that passion of why it matters to you to be doing what you're doing in the way you're doing it.
Whoa. That's
There's
a
a big question for you, isn't it?
Jeez, that's a big question to start off with. Um, in it deep down, it makes me feel good, and
Okay.
it makes me. I get so much energy out of helping people that enjoy being pushed, challenged, And that do the same in return to me, and then we do it together, and we high five at the end of the day, which after, over some hard talk, oh, I just feel good. It just makes me feel really good, and if I just bring it down to one sentence, it makes me feel good.
I love that. I love that. And last question, and then we're gonna start really rolling into some deeper topics. What is it that you're curious about right now? You said you're highly curious. What is it that's at the moment in time is leading your curiosity?
Um, how to help the people that I'm helping right now in such a way that they are helping themselves, and me
Okay.
just sitting across the table asking smart questions or stupid questions. And it's either or,
Yeah.
because stupid questions can sometimes get that thinking really, get them thinking really well. That JP, you should know this. Oh, I don't know. Explain to me. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
they start to go, and then they're explaining themselves what their problem is. Um, and then the systems we're building together, really enjoy that. But yeah, I think that's probably it. Asking good questions, get that energy spark going, and then just it 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 it's free. It just rolls. Nothing to do, nothing more to do there than just let it go, and then we'll check in again tomorrow and see where we have left, and we can continue again. I think that's it.
That's awesome. I love that. So the kind of the theme of this podcast and the whole theme of the unlocking human potential is looking for three avenues. So we're going to explore you, and then we're going to explore what how we get the best out of other people, unlock
Yeah,
their best potential, and then we're going to wrap it up with just some advice for people out there listening that that would be really, really helpful.
yeah,
So as we kind of started with, you've obviously had a really um, a good career, mainly in professional sport.
yeah,
As I understand it, I know there is some private practicey stuff, and I know you're now on your own in consultancy, which I would like to explore the difference between being an employed to self-employed mindset.
yeah.
So just curious, over the years of working at a high level where one will only assume that there's high pressure, how do you keep yourself optimal? What have you done over the years to make sure that you stay at your best as well?
To realize that I can't make big changes in one day, but I can over a year, and keep manifesting those small changes every single day, writing them down, talking to people, and then just see the compound interest over time that the changes I've done. Collecting data, collecting thoughts, collecting noise, collecting beliefs, knowledge, and just over time keeping track of that, analyzing it, and seeing, oh, there's quite a few changes that we've made from the start of the year till and then start of the season, mid-season, end of season, and that's probably it.
So if you, okay, so just be able to apply a bit deeper into that from your perspective.
Yeah,
So how do you keep yourself, so you're dealing in high performance environments?
yeah.
What do you do to make sure that you're optimal? As in, like, is there a routine you have? You talk around, you're looking at habits and stuff. Is there any habits that you've done or developed and created along the way to make sure that you bring yourself the best version of you every single day?
Yeah, it's not the who, it's the what. So respect the who and challenge the what, for myself and for others. So in high performance sports, you can sometimes think, oh, they don't like me. No, they don't like what you're doing. They
Yeah.
like you, but what you're doing is sometimes it can become really personal really quickly if you don't have that who and what separated. And I write down a lot of things. So I do a after action review for myself at, well, not every day, but pretty much every day. What went well? What went wrong? What can I do better tomorrow? What can I improve tomorrow to improve at the end of the week? Can I improve at the end of the week? What can be improved at the end of the month? To just really keep track of the 1% better every day, because that keeps me I can challenge myself, keeps me grounded, keeps me humble, because I can't. If a player comes in and we in the team did a good job on an ankle injury, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are amazing. First, the previous medical team was so shit." That's ego, you know. He's helping your ego feel good, and you're like, "Oh yeah, indeed, we're really good." Thank you for that. That's the what, not the who. And I write that down as in keep myself grounded and humble. He's just super happy, but it can be any other person that was in my shoes at that time of day, right time, right place, that could have helped him in such a way that he's happy. But what did I actually do different than the other people, you know? And usually for me, it's energy. It's just to bring the positive energy, and to get energy, you need to spend energy. So I'm always the first one to be proactive, not the first one in every day. But if I'm in, I'm in. I'm not. I try not to be distracted by anything. You know, the one in front of me gets all the attention, and that keeps me, as I said, after action reviews for myself, super important. That keeps me sane, or that kept me sane over the 20 years. And being challenged by friends that are not in the business, or just not challenged, but just speak to them about life, helps me a lot. And just try to find humor in everything, you know, even big injuries, big problems, 9 losses in a row. Where can I find humor, and decompress the situation for everyone to be lifted just a tiny little bit, to see the end of the tunnel again? And I think those three help me the most. So writing, after action reviews, step out of the world, detach a bit, look at the bigger picture with friends and family outside of the business, and try to find humor wherever I can. Just have a good laugh, and that's magic, you know. That does
Yeah.
so much to people, um, and to myself, basically, to keep me upright and performing.
I guess that, I mean, that's lovely. And I think, and that's, I think, where when we very first met, I think we were laughing within the very first couple of minutes of our
Minute.
conversation. Yeah. And it continued, didn't it? Which is great. And, and I think that's the things that I've always taken when I've heard you, and I've listened to other podcasts that you've been on, and we've met a few times, and the things that energy is something you get. I guess, where's that come from? How have you worked that out? So for people listening that are maybe kind of in any kind of high pressure situation, they might be a leader in a business, or they might be in sport. You've obviously come to that conclusion after 20 years, and you've done that consistently. Where did it all start? Can you remember what was the moment where you actually realized that writing stuff down and reflecting on that was helpful, that has kind of led you to the career you've had today?
Um, well, my dad was a dentist back in the days, and
Okay.
when I saw him do his work, it was, for to me it was magical, and I only realized later in life that what he was doing is what I'm doing as well. He was the energy giver, you know. He was really helping people feel comfortable in a dentist chair, and cracking jokes, making them feel comfortable. And he always said it's not about the teeth, it's about the human first. So
Yeah.
help them feel safe,
Right.
comfortable, and then I can do anything. I can extract teeth without uh, um, anesthetics, or what's the word, anesthesia,
Yeah.
at all. It's not what he does, but that's not what he did. But figure of speech, you know, because they feel so safe, sound, at home in a dentist chair, that you can do magic on their teeth. And I think I got many lessons from him later
Nice.
in life, that it's about human first. And then the reflections come from a few people I worked with in the past, back in my days, that were quite OCD with their notes. You know, no, I need to know this. Why? You will never see this player again. But this is not for this player, but it's for the next player that comes in with a similar sort of problem, mental, physical, medical, whatever, nutritional. I learn now, and I can help the next one even better. I'm like, oh, that's a wise man or a woman. Let's do the same. And I struggled in the beginning to really make good notes, and now it's just a few paragraphs and I'm done for the day. And it you can really train yourself to do it, and it helps me. It's here right next to me, it really helps me to just prepare and review in the end. So I think it comes down from a little bit of genes, so a little bit of nature, a little bit of nurture, and
Yeah.
then work with good people. And they help me to understand what high performance is doing the right thing relentlessly every single day at the highest level, with the best intentions. And then that's where I'm right now. And
No, it's look.
not that I'm
No,
doing well all the time, but I just try intentionally do the best.
and that's all you can really do, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think, and with the knowledge that you've got today, knowing that you might gain some extra knowledge later in the day or tomorrow that's going to make you even that 1% better
Yeah.
tomorrow, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I really like that. And I think the reason I asked the question is because I think for a lot of people, it's understanding, where can we get inspiration from? And it certainly sounds like through your childhood, you were inspired by the way your dad
Yeah.
approached people, and I think that's lovely. And then,
And I think that
you
this is the first time I've ever mentioned this because it never
okay,
occurred to me. But now I just sit there and I'm like, well, where does it come from? Because a lot of people ask me over the years, where does it come from? I, I'm a person that wants to feel safe first
yeah,
before I give anything. And it's the other person opposite of me that can give me safety. But I have to bring a bit first for that person to help me feel safe, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I do, yeah,
And
yeah,
and that's where I think uh, build connection first. Make them feel safe. They don't have to trust you and give you their deepest secrets, but some human connection and energy takes potential problems working in a high pressurized cooker, and that's life in sports.
yeah. And this is exactly why I wanted, the reason why we created this podcast was for that. It's that it is the human element first, isn't it? And how do we unlock the human potential in others? And I think sometimes, like you've said, sometimes you have to give a little bit to get a little bit back to feel that connection, and then that connection,
Yeah.
makes that safe environment. So just before we move on, I just want to lean into this energy, because one of the things that you are known for, definitely across the things, is, and you talk about it a lot, is, you've got to give the energy. How do you maintain that? How do there might be days, I'm sure, where
Then I don't
you're
go.
putting all your, pardon?
Then I don't go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we've all got those days, haven't we,
Yeah.
where we wake up and go, do you know what? My
Jeez.
tank is running really, really
Yeah.
low. Or,
Yeah.
we all hope and inspire that we do things that gives us energy, and certainly that seems to be the understanding I've got from you, that you love what you do, so that the energy you return back from the reward of that is enough to kind of recharge those batteries.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming there are days where the recharge is less good.
For sure.
So I'm just curious then, where do you do, or how do you handle those days?
Walking,
Okay, could you
usually.
expand on that? Yeah,
Yeah. So when I'm struggling, my wife usually tells me, please leave the building and go for a walk
be
because
back
that's
with
where I
yeah,
feel safe most, is at home with the kids and my
yeah.
wife. And then usually then the real JP comes out when he's cranky and tired and the battery is really low.
Okay,
And they don't deserve that. So usually then I go for a short walk, a long walk, usually with a rucksack or a weight vest
okay,
or a sandbag, and I just go rocking
right,
in the dunes. And then it can be 20, 30 minutes, just hard grind, and then it just recharges big time. It's crazy. Outdoors, fresh air, sunlight or rain, doesn't really matter. And then you see things in perspective again. Because sometimes the day can feel heavy because I attract a lot of energy. Because I give a lot, I also get back
yeah,
in return, and that can be toxic, negative, positive,
yeah,
anything in between. Um, and the one that drains me the most. People that don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They make it too big. They can't make it small, and that
Yeah,
drains me. And then I come home and like, geez, how do I get these
yeah,
people to move just one step? Just give me one step, and then you'll see the beauty of it. And that drains me. And then usually it's walking, no distractions, no podcast, no phone, just go. And then I come home and then I write or I chat to people, uh, other things than work. And then usually that recharges me really fast. And talking to people like you, it just helps me to. There's so many beautiful people in this world
yeah,
that work in the same business. That energizes me more than anything. The gig we had in Dublin, those 3 days gave me 3 months of
yeah.
joy, energy, pleasure. So if I can have a few of those every year, go. And if I don't have the energy, I've always heard I'm quite ruthless when it comes to that. Then I don't go. It's better
Okay,
to
that's good.
see. You don't want always have to see the energized JP. I can be a little bit less as well. But if I don't have anything to give, I go and see people that can give me energy. And if I
Yeah,
have to go to an event that I don't feel that gives me or they give me anything or I can't give anything, then I just don't go. And it's just what it is. My time is precious and I'd then rather spend it with other people or at home, just reading, walking, whatever.
I think it's really important that, and I think that and I think it's important that we do talk about stuff like that. Just the last one on energy, then. Are you quite good at recognizing where if you have an energy meter, or so you say you get home and sometimes your wife sends you out. It, are you good at recognizing yourself, or sometimes you need that external feedback off somebody,
Usually
a loved one?
I still have that when I do come home in such a state, I have too much energy.
Okay, okay.
I'm too high up on energy, but
Yeah,
that's the mental. My
yeah,
head is full and I'm just restless and I come home and the house has to be clean and just 20 kids just raided the whole home on the streets and I'm like, oh, I can't handle this.
okay,
And oh yeah, just go around the block and then I
okay.
come home and my head is empty again and then
Yeah,
I do have a meter. I lose track of that once every now and then.
yeah,
But writing helps me reflecting on the energy, and then I'm learning day by day to recognize the signals a bit more.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah, it's super important because one thing that I see in the business is that people leave. I left on a high. I felt really good leaving because I could give the people that I worked for a hug, a high five, and left in good standing. And I really wanted to help the business in any way, shape, or form, back into a team, not in team, didn't really matter. And I've seen too many people deflated and just they never ever want to go back because they feel it's a toxic environment and drains people and it takes away
yeah,
your soul. And I see that more often than not, but I don't agree with for me personally because I really enjoy the environment,
yeah,
and that's because and that's also the reason I want to improve that meter a bit because it's not good for a high energized person to work in an environment that's also 25/8 because I can be a bit overshooting myself in that sense.
yeah. And it's really interesting. It's a model we use a lot. And I remember somebody once asked me the question on a scale of 0 to 10, where do you feel optimal working at? And I went, oh, it's a really good question.
Yeah, really good question.
And I just went, oh, right. And I said, like, if 10 is burnout, so that's what you're describing. I went, oh, about 9, 9.1. And
Yeah,
she looked at me and went, you understand that's probably not healthy, but in the sense of you haven't really got any
no,
capacity. Uh, so that's your optimal level of where you feel you work the best. I went, yeah. And even saying it out loud, I was thinking, yeah, that can't be good because there's no real, if all of a sudden something happens, a drama, and that's going to take you to 9.5 or whatever, and you're thinking,
yeah,
oh, I'm getting really close, and then something else happens, but you don't recover fast enough and
yeah,
you can't get. So
Yeah.
it was a really interesting kind of moment. It's certainly mine of going, okay, so how do I make sure my on my scale, where my optimal level is? And I would say it's still a work in progress.
Oh, big time.
I would say I'm around an 8 now. So I need some level of stress to keep me excited and motivated, but actually
Yeah.
realizing I need some capacity left in my tank.
Yeah, and I think that stress for me is I see stress as a positive thing. I
Mm.
really like stress in the good stress that is.
Yeah,
There's life stresses that are sometimes just they are not positive. They bring you to you're sitting on the couch and they bring you to a nine just in your head because it's just
yeah,
where do I get the next gig?
yeah,
Um, well, people die, people get sick. That's stuff you can't control, but that's
yeah,
stuff you have to control in a way, uh, in your mind. Just it's part of life sometimes, and do your best to help the person that's sick or ill or struggling with life. Um, but I like that. I don't want to go from 9 to 5.
yeah,
I like to
yeah,
stay in that, let's say 7.5 to 8.5 is where my optimum is,
yeah,
because I need to be in that higher region to perform
yeah,
at home and at work and
yeah,
everything in between. I don't like 9 to 5. I don't like to not work on weekends. I like to have it here, there, and everywhere because I really enjoy being at home because I have those 2 hours at home and I take full energy out of it, because I make it worthwhile being at home. And
yeah,
then I
definitely.
go back to work, and then that's what gives me most pleasure, basically.
No,
Uh,
that.
Otherwise, I feel a bit drained really fast, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we talk about these things, especially because I think there is an assumption, isn't it, that actually stress can be bad all of the time. But actually, what we're saying is learning how to manage those different things and manage those levels. And sometimes
Yeah,
actually, like dropping for if you're a 9 at work and then you drop to a 3, sometimes that can be less helpful for some people as well.
yeah.
But it could be
Well,
optimal for others.
yeah, for sure. For me, it's personal, but the switching off is the most important skill that I had to learn.
Hmm.
Working for professional teams, match day +2. Some teams you're off. I never felt that to be a day off.
Yeah,
You were not physically at the club, but you were working for the club and even from home. And then all of a sudden you have these 35 days in a row of work. If you count those days as working days, even though it was just a couple of hours, I like that, no problem. But I also like that some part of the days were mine. Of that
yeah,
day was mine. Just phone away. Who will call me this hour? I'm out on the beach for a run, for a walk. And if there's disaster, they will find me. And I've never had a real disaster, luckily, knock on wood. But people can't switch off because they feel the need to be available
mm,
at all times. I'm always available, but not always. I'm always available, but not always. If you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, and I guess that the words that are bouncing around my head is boundary management. So how, you're
Yeah,
setting boundaries. How do you set boundaries then to allow you to give you that time so that even though you're always available, you're not always available?
yeah. I tried to come up with an example, but let's say I barely pick up the phone when I don't have the time. I'm not the person that picks up the phone. I'll call you back in an hour, okay?
Okay.
No, this hour is mine. That person will be called back within the hour.
Yeah.
And if that person calls me three times in a row, there must be an emergency, and then I will pick up. You know, and people feel that, but they can't think of anything else for that next hour because I need to call that person back. Now people know that I will always reply and call back.
Yeah.
It might take a day or two, but that's my boundary. That's
Yeah.
I'm always available. You can text me on a Sunday morning. I do not care. I'm not say my Sundays are not my working days. I'm available. You can text me, but don't expect me to text back straight
Yeah.
away on a Sunday morning when it's my time. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I do not know your time. I don't also know your time.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
yeah, if you want, then we share agendas. That's okay, and you can
Yeah.
see my when I have my time and working time. You know,
Yeah.
it just that's based on trust and connection, and I will always respond. But realize that when it's my time, I will not respond, and when it's working time again, which is often, then I'll respond straight away. And that's my boundary, and I don't have to express that and say, "Hey, my Sundays are off." I did it over the holidays in the summer. I told people, "Hey, you can call me, text me, but I will not respond this week because it's a family week. We're off somewhere in the woods, and that's a few people that I'll let that know that I will let know that I'm in for somewhere in Sweden enjoying family time. They accept, of course, JP, enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
managing expectations. Don't expect me to call back this week, but I'll call back the week after. Are you still on holidays then? Yeah, but for me, that's okay. It's a 5 minute call. It helps you, it helps me in a month's time. Let me give you a call back, even though it's a holiday. I don't really mind, but the me time I protect heavily.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the words managing expectations because I think
Yeah.
that's what it is, isn't it? I think sometimes, like you've said there, is
And
I
it's
don't know
it's
when
more
you're off.
managing my own expectations, to be honest. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Okay.
just managing theirs is managing my own. I'm
Yeah.
managing
Okay.
theirs, but in that sense, I'm creating freedom for myself.
Yeah.
I'm telling
So, yeah.
them it will be next week, but I'm telling myself, JP, it's okay not to
Yeah.
think of that for this week because you told them.
Yeah.
It's managing my own expectations, basically.
And I think it's really powerful because sometimes you do. I think when you're in the world that we are in, and we love helping people, and that's why I think we both aligned so much our passion for helping others. That
Yeah,
sometimes we can struggle to give ourselves permission to not immediate reply. You
big
see
time.
it pop up on your phone, and you go,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'll just deal with that," and then well, they'll reply and then reply. So actually, the best thing to do is go, "No, you're off. Just put your phone down and stop."
yeah,
And it's in so my phone's always on do not disturb. The only numbers that can come through all of the time are on like
family.
an emergent a family. So if I know that if my phone goes off, the likelihood it's either my mum
Yeah,
or my daughter.
yeah, and those you need to pick up immediately.
Well,
Yeah.
100% because you never know what they never normally. I haven't got enough
That can
money
you
to
up the
put.
credit a bit.
Yeah, I haven't got enough
That's
money
the
for the bus.
emergency.
Yeah, that's
No,
it.
but usually for me, I bring the phone to wherever I go. It's an extra organ. It's crazy,
Yeah,
But I do put it on do not disturb for the me time. But it's the kids are at school. The dog is in the nursery. If there's something going on, I want to know. So those numbers can
yeah,
can
can
call
come
me
through.
any day of the week. Same for you. But yeah, you have to protect it a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess so the last one I'm talking about yourself, and then we'll move on to some of your working on others. I guess if you're comfortable exploring, you've shifted from an employment. I know you've kind of role where you've been, head of performance and performance managers and stuff in clubs, and now you've made the transition. I think you've done it before in consultancy, but now this is where you are landing in your consultancy world. So just curious, how's the shift been in maybe a mindset or a motivation going from an employed role where you're guaranteed work every day and the phone will not stop ringing because that's your job, to
Yeah.
now going into a consultancy world where you have to try and make the phone ring?
um, Fantastic and horrible at the exact same time. The
Okay.
freedom and the fact that there's too much freedom. No, the
Okay.
difficulty is in the world we live in, people expect you to do stuff for free all the time, which
Okay.
is sometimes difficult to explain. Uh, um, but the being the owner of my own emotions is quite nice.
Yeah.
The owner of my own agenda is quite nice because this morning I tried to do some work and then I blocked 1 hour ahead of this one just to drink a cup of tea, go outside, walk the dog for 10 minutes, just refresh again, and then sit in this one to be present.
Yeah.
And then in the world of pro sports, that's not always possible. And I really enjoyed that just constant go, 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 go. But then 5 to 11, just all right. Andy in 5 minutes. Oh fuck, coffees, quick, quick. Turn on the laptop. Forgot to update Zoom. Stress, 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 stress. And now I'm relaxed because I can manage a bit more, which is helpful.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. To get people to ring me is not the biggest problem so far. But to find the projects that I feel very much aligned to is a bit more difficult
Okay.
because people expect you to jump on every opportunity. And not to say that I'm picky, absolutely not. But if you want the best out of me, I also need to feel comfortable is not the right word, but challenged and comfortable at the exact same time for the project you're presenting me.
Yeah.
Um, because otherwise you get the 6 out of 10 JP, and if that's what you want, okay, but I want a 7.5 to 8.5 JP out of 10
Yeah.
in that project. And that's sometimes managing expectations again. And then the last one is to find paid jobs. So far, really no problem. But there's some uptime and downtime. And the crazy thing is during the uptime, you have to prepare for the downtime. So in the uptime, you're putting in extra effort
Yeah.
to get stuff rolling again for the downtime again. So and
Yeah.
that's new to me,
Yeah.
It's there's never really downtime, which is fine. But it's Murphy's Law. It all comes together at once, and then all of a sudden you're overloaded in projects, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, hello, who's there?
Yeah.
It's I like it. It's a big learning curve, and the best part of it is that I get to explore. I work for a university, which is super nice. So with young, talented sports managers, give me a lot of inspiration, and then running my own business on the side with a few other people, and it's just it gives me so much energy to give back to my previous world with all that I learned in 20 years, and now interviewing people, sitting in podcasts with you, that gives me another set of skills and tools that I can bring back to my old community, but also my new community, working for businesses and C-suite people, and to learn from them. Well, they are learning from me. Well, basically, I'm learning from them, which is crazy. I'm giving them the laws of sports and building high performance teams and working under pressure. But in the meantime, they're just giving me so much more in return. Yeah, long story short, love it and hate it at the exact same time.
Look, what a brilliant conclusion to that. So you you touched on taking high performance teams and leadership and stuff. So can we explore that? So,
Yeah, for sure.
one of the things for me is, we've really delved into how you get the best out of yourself, and I think there's some absolute gold in that for leaders who are, because it can be quite a tough and challenging world being in leadership positions and at the top of stuff. And so I think, that's why it's really important for me to focus on that, to see, how do people, where that resonates, where that sits, and how people cope with those kind of strategies. And I think you've been awesome with that. And then the other thing that I see an awful lot is people getting almost the challenges then they're, oh yeah, people. We didn't have to deal with people. Both me and you quite like dealing with people. So just curious then, where does it sit, and where does it, from your background, how would you, and it might be a story, it might be an example, of how we unlock potential in others. That might be in a high performance environment, it might be with colleagues or friends or anything. Just curious where that lands.
Good question. Um, to give you an example, um, I'm working with a person X at the moment for quite a bit of time right now, and he's always talking systems. The systems need to be right, and then people will work. And what I learned over the last couple of months, if I can extract from him his issues with people, it's been dealt with. If you know, in our talks, he's dealing with the people, and then he can focus on the systems in the as a director in the organization. He can focus on the systems, and he will give me all his shit on the people that he has employed.
Yeah.
I'm more of a psychologist in this one. I'm just listening and just what's Dave doing now? Oh, that effort, Jesus, he doesn't understand and he will not understand. He needs to understand that it's if he runs it through this system, it will turn gold, and he's just ruining it all the time. And I'm looking, Dave is a fantastic guy. You need him in the team. He's a challenger because he's sitting in meetings,
Yeah.
putting the finger up. Hey guys, listen up. I don't agree because X, Y, Z. And he, as a business owner, doesn't like that. But I'm like, give me your shit on Dave. We'll deal with it, and you focus on your systems, and then I will manage in the background that Dave will still put up his finger, but he chooses better moments. Uh, um, that's why I like to work with people because Dave gives me the same shit on his boss. He
Yeah.
never lets me finish my sentence. Always mid sentence comes challenging back to me. But yeah, we've done that, tried that, doesn't work. Hey, I do not work to hear him telling me that he's tried that for 10 years, doesn't work, so we're not trying it again. I'm here new. I want to try. Of course, Dave, let's go. We just have to find a way for you guys to be neutral again because now it's a plus and a minus all the time pushing against each other. Let's find some more leverage between the two of you, and then slowly but surely bringing them back into the same room, but not with other people together, and then bringing them up to speed. But the thing is, they've never talked human to human before, so they went straight into the actual topic of the industry or the problem they were facing. And you don't have to talk human to human all the time, but there needs to be human connection at all times. Are we on the same page? Do we see the same picture? And can we look at that same picture from a different angle? That's okay, but is it still the same picture? Can we agree to disagree? Can we walk out of this room where there was no silent disagreement? There was actual disagreement, but can we walk out together and have one voice? And that's a massive challenge, and that's what I'm working on a lot these days. Um,
Me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
nice. It just
Yeah.
I sit opposite of the owner, CEO, and he's just giving me his thinking, and that is enough for him to be helped. And I'm like, I feel like I have a bit of imposter syndrome with this one every now and then. I'm like, I see all these people online and in webinars and podcasts, and they have these systems in place to get the CEO from A to B through these interventions. And I'm like, just talk to him every week for an hour and a half, and we go on a walk every now and then, and that's enough. Apparently, he pays me to do that. Is that sustainable? I have no clue because I'm not an expert and I will never pretend to be one. It just works for us and it really works for him because I can say after a year of working with them, Dave and him are not best mates, but they are challenging one another, and that's helping the business big time because they are peeling the onion on a problem and they really get to the core of the issue, and then they go, all right, now we can talk the goodies, and then if we take it from here we can bring it back to the workforce, and then we have the problem solved and we have magic in our hands, and that's fantastic.
So there's two. It's a really really good example and one I resonate so much with. Yeah, I get that. I guess the two words that come across mine is culture of an organization,
Yeah,
as in, can everyone? Is it? Have we got a space? Which, and then the second part is psychological safety.
yeah.
So, is there an environment? Your opening thing we talked about environment, and that's a big thing for you. Is how do we could then, where do you sit with how do we create an environment where it's okay for if you're comfortable using Dave and X, so that feels comfortable that when he goes into a meeting, he can say what he needs to say in the way he needs to say it,
Yeah.
in a way that X then doesn't, well, acknowledges it may not agree, but there isn't the conflict. There's a level of understanding.
I tried to explain them to them, and I realized later that I did it too soon. but grit gives you grip. So grit stands for gut feel, relationship, interconnectedness, and then team. And grit is the same. And grip is actually exactly the same. It's like this fist, you're holding on to something. And grit is the same movement, you know. But grit, if you break it down, becomes gut feel, relation, interconnectedness, team. And gut feel comes first. People need to feel safe in the gut. They can't, yeah. Sometimes you have these business owners, they are protecting the business, but because they don't feel safe with the other person protecting their business the same as they do. But then we're talking business. We have to talk human to human first. They need
Yeah.
to feel safe in the same room, and they don't have to talk about what they did on the weekend all the time. Absolutely not. But there needs to be a sense of safety to desensitize what comes next. And then you can build a relationship, and then you start to understand the blueprint of the other person and its DNA. And then you can start to connect on the topic and the job itself. And then you become a
Yeah.
team. And I explained to them, yeah, grit gives you grip. And like, JP, what's this container buzzword one liner, which I'm really good at usually, but one liners, they help me a lot. But I really had to come up with massive amounts of examples
Okay.
in this from my world of in sports, and it didn't help. So I just did it myself. I just had to lead with by example, by not telling them, but by just showing them how it was done without saying it. So it was
Yeah.
under the radar. So every time I walked in, coffee moments, lunch, actual meetings, work on the gut feel first, make people feel safe. How do you do that? I don't know. I'm just trying trial and error. Sometimes you read the room, you're like, oof, this is a tense room. Can't crack a joke right now. But maybe I can, to be the odd one, what the fuck is he doing? Oh, let's get to the business. Okay. At least every personal issue is gone now because this JP fella cracked a joke and now we can focus on the business. Or
Yeah.
you actually crack a joke and people are like, lighten the room. And I'm not always the one that has to do it, and I also don't want to be the person that will do it. But if you just do it every now and then, you show it, people will start to. Athletes follow athletes, people follow people. The first person that does it and it resonates, people start to do it. And then you can to manage is to step in, to lead is to step out. So I manage first, so I step in, I do it myself, and then I step back, and then people start to do it. And we're good now. I just come in at regular intervals just to check the temperature again, and that's what I did with
Yeah.
Dave and person X, and then slowly they started to realize that grit gives you grip is a good one to write on a napkin every now and then. Do I have grip on the situation? No, the grit is not there. So I have to go back to the G. Gut feel, Dave, is there something going on? Your yearly review was fantastic, but I still see you struggling. Can we talk? Sometimes that's enough for the person to open up, and that has nothing to do with the interconnectedness with the and the work itself. That's usually something personal. Yeah, I feel like the review was top, but I'm still in the same place, and we discussed that by now I would be higher up the chain or managing people, and I'm still not. Good that you're asking, mate. I have good reason not to. Let me explain. After 10 minutes, Dave, you should have told me 2 months ago. I've been dealing with this for 2 months. It's just fuck me. That's simple. And
Yeah.
that's where it's super easy because I'm on the side and I'm hovering above, but it's beauty to watch it happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, and it also, from my world, it takes an awful lot of emotional intelligence to read that room in the way that you read it,
Yeah.
doesn't
By
it? And I
making a
think,
lot of mistakes because
yeah, but it's being comfortable in a kind of environment, but you know, I don't know about you, but I mean, there's an analogy that I've got taught. There's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. And
yeah,
so when things don't go wrong, as long as you're using it as part of your learning, which I think you leaned into at the start, like whether you're writing down stuff of going, what have
yeah,
I learned today? That probably comes from trying something and going, that didn't land the way I wanted it to land. So how do I
yeah.
need to do it differently?
And then owning that.
100%.
Not so good landing, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I'm a massive mishit here, you know.
But if that is a culture that businesses and organizations that do, then you are going to learn a lot together, aren't you? And I guess that's the key of how do you create
Yeah,
an environment where they're comfortable with that.
yeah. And to give you an example about my life in sports, there's been many times where s stuff happened, and there will be many trainers that will agree with me, and so many that will disagree with me. But sometimes I owned the mistake, even though I was, in my opinion, just a small portion of the mistake. But because I owned that portion big time, other people were owning their part in the puzzle as well and the mistake. And reflecting on that, there was like weeks where we didn't, no one just, how's this possible? And no one would say a word. They would just everyone was waiting for someone to take their turn and to say something, and then
Okay.
or they pointed the finger to another
So,
team member, and then sometimes it's just, yeah, to get the energy you need to spend energy. Also, this kind of energy, just be the first. Hey guys, my part of the problem, or my part of the problem that we experienced. Hey, I did this wrong. ABC. Sorry, I will not do it again, or I will learn from it, and I will make sure that communication line is better, or that I stress test that periodization model better, or the ankle, or whatever. And then people, oh JP, don't you worry, that's not the problem. I was in fact the problem because I
yeah.
put that player on the pitch way too fast, and I should have listened to you guys a bit more. Oh, thank you, head coach. But
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
agree that
Yeah.
we're all part of the
Yeah.
problem. And then how can and then do not stop the conversation there. Okay, then from this point onwards, how do we manage the next problems? You know, how do we who owns them? How do we start to collaborate more? How can we bring checks in place that we are still on the right track for all the stakeholders to be involved? And that's just owning the mistake, even though you feel that you're not the biggest issue, doesn't really matter. People tend to, and maybe I don't like silences too much. That's why I always speak. And that's something I'm learning
Yeah.
big time at the moment. But it helped me to understand that just say it out loud and say what you think, and then people start to connect and resonate. And I'm like, yeah, I have a finger here as well, a finger in this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, two things I took from that I think I really like and I think would resonate with the listeners that hopefully the has is one is the bravery sometimes of being the first to speak when needed.
Yeah,
And that, you said people will follow people. And what it sounds like an example you gave is that you were the first one there, and so everyone went, well, well, if you're talking, I might as well I might as well
yeah.
get involved as well because but
There's a danger there that they're always waiting for you to be the first one to
well,
speak.
yeah, but I think the second
Shit.
part is also, there is, although it leans into the second part, which it's that you use the word, I'm responsible for this part.
Yeah,
And I think that's the issue, isn't it? In a lot of psychological models, we are just a summation of parts. So, a part of us thinks this, a part of us done that, and a part of us done that. And that's, and you have to lean into the brave part of you to be the first to do it. Whereas the 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 non-brave part of you is going, shut up, don't say nothing, sit
yeah,
there, sit on your
yeah,
hands, wait for somebody else to take
yeah,
responsibility. But the brave part of you then goes, no, no, I'm going to do
yeah,
this. But then you only being responsible and taking responsibility for your part of it
yeah,
also means that, a problem that is 100%, you might only be 5% of that problem. So it's really obvious when you take responsibility for your 5%,
yeah,
everyone else goes, oh, I better take responsibility. And it's only my 5%, my 5%. And it's the accumulation, isn't it, that
yeah,
creates the biggest
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
So I really like that. And I think it's a really nice way to kind of to do it. So, and I appreciate you sharing that.
And I try to to teach myself and also the people that I was managing, and am managing. What happened here?
Yeah.
Oh, you took ownership, and then what? Yeah, people started to own a bit as well. Okay, what can we do next time? Yeah,
And I think that is it's so important, isn't it, to have those honest and open conversations. I think this they are. I think they're still difficult, and like you said, I don't think there is no secret formula, is there? I'm sure people do have these magic models that can that promote. Well, these are the 10 steps to unlocking this. You know, the more and more I seem to have conversations with high performers, it actually comes from, do you know what? A lot of it just does come down to trial and error. And we try something, it lands well. Sometimes it
yeah,
doesn't land well, and
yeah,
we just take on board what doesn't
yeah,
land well.
yeah. And that's the I there's I've met so many coaches that were, oh, head coach, the boss of the building, and then 3 months later you have a new head coach and you just set up this system of ownership and responsibility and accountability together, and then new coach comes in, and then we have this sensitive group of support staff, that are in tune with one another, and then this coach comes in and everybody starts to own the mistake, and then you're like, what the fuck, just get on, who cares, who just deal with it.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So there's so many models and ways to there's
Yeah.
so many ways to roam. And you have to be super flexible and adaptable,
Yeah.
and you got to be a chameleon, but stay true to yourself. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest one that I also learned along the way. I got carried away a bit at times, where the badge on the chest, yes, I have it, and I'm the guy, and I will show everyone. And oh my God, I was brought back to the real world really, really, really fast, and you just humor, laugh a bit, and just I took myself too serious here,
Yeah.
and then all right, let's go, and then just it is what it is, it's
But do you think that sometimes, even if you were told that, you still have to go through that journey to actually understand it and
yeah,
learn that and
yeah,
actually
but people want to
feel
be
that time?
perfect from the take one has to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will never be perfect, and that's okay, but it's to be critical and reflective and do a lot of introspection to get the knowledge of what you did and bring it to life again and do it in the
Yeah.
next situation, which is somewhat similar, and then you feel again 80% of the time, but those 20%, the 20% left is done better, and that's where, not for the person that's in front of you or the system or the business, but for you, and then you can say, hey, I've done my improvements and it's
Yeah.
better, and let's go.
Yeah, no, definitely, and there is this assumption that unfortunately perfection doesn't exist. So aiming for perfection because it just keeps moving away from you all the time,
Yeah,
doesn't it? So
yeah.
listen, this has been an unbelievably fantastic, and I could talk to you for another hour or so. I think what we're going to try and do is wrap it up, if that's all right with you. So just moving
Already.
on, and well, I'm so well. Listen, you've just told me you're busy. We'll have to do a part two. Um, I guess if you could. Now that's so people listening with your experience, what would you advise? So some, I would say quick fire questions, but they're never going to be quick fire unless you've the top of your tongue, but we'll see where they go with it. Three practical things that people could try today. Now that might be trying to find themselves, get the optimal side of them, or trying to get the optimal side out of others. What three practical things could people try today? And you can go in either direction.
I think I wrote one down.
Oh, have you?
This one, yeah.
Prepared and organized. I like it.
um Start asking more questions. And then one question that really helped me a lot over the years is to ask the person, what do you expect from me?
Okay.
Where am I helping and where am I getting in the way? Um, and what do you need that you're not getting? Those questions really help me to, if the gut and the relationship is okay, to start. And I ask that question on a very regular basis to people. Um, JP asked me this yesterday. Yeah, yeah, but today's another day, you know, new
Yeah,
challenges, new opportunities. Let's go.
yeah,
We're a team, but I can be in the way and I can be supporting and I can be leading. I just need to know where you want me to be today. Um, and don't not what I experienced in my life in pro sports, and I'm still in pro sports, but in another capacity, is that they don't ask those questions. People do a lot of assumptions, but to me, assumptions are deadly. If you don't ask, you don't know, and that's
yeah.
what
I love
people
that.
should do today. Ask, ask, ask. And if JP, you asked me yesterday. You asked me this morning. Yeah, we had lunch. It's a new part of the day, you know, new challenges, new opportunities. Let's go. And relentlessly curious means this to me. Constant improvement means this to me because I can't do it myself. I need other people. I really need other people. Otherwise, I'm in this room doing nothing. I need
Yeah.
other people to get stuff going, to make a team run better, run faster, to make a business more valuable, whatever it is, to make students more, uh, uh, um, to make students better, or whatever it is. You need to ask the questions, and there's a few questions that I always ask, and um, these are a few of them. So that's
No, I love,
one thing that I would advise to the listeners.
and I think it's lovely because, I always think for me that's part of relationship management, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you make an assumption that what we're doing is helpful and useful, and then sometimes you ask the question of going, what do I need to do better to make this better for you? And they'll go, well,
yeah,
actually,
yeah, yeah. You
if you
get a
just
lot
stop
of wisdom.
talking a little bit and let me just absorb some stuff, you go, okay, cool, I'll shut up.
JP, listen.
Yeah. No, but I think
Thank
it
you.
strengthens a relationship, doesn't
Oh,
it?
big time.
Because
Yeah,
it
for
it
sure.
shows that you're generally caring from the point that you want to be better
Yeah,
for them,
yeah,
which is ultimately what. So I know I really like that.
yeah,
It does take, for listeners that are thinking, oh my gosh, am I really going to ask that question to somebody?
yeah,
It does take a level of, you've got to be prepared for what they might come back with,
yeah,
because, sometimes it's never good. It might be things that that you weren't considering, or feedback that you might
yeah,
not always land
yeah.
brilliantly.
And there's a few directions that this question can
Yeah,
take, which
but
is okay, you know. And
yeah, but
the second part that I would say is what I try to do is check in with myself. Is my energy all right
yeah,
for this group, this environment, this task, this project, whatever it is? And it sounds quite spiritual. Is my energy all right? But everyone is doing that every single day,
yeah,
every moment of the day. I just try to do it consciously. Um, and when the moment I ask that of myself, I always say to myself, but do bring your authentic JP. Don't bring any fake JP because if I'm always the happy peppy dude, I'm not always the happy peppy dude. I just have energy, but it's not always the right energy for myself or for the people that I'm
yeah,
working with. But do bring your authentic you. You be you. Bring you, and that that's a difficult one because what's me?
yeah.
I'm getting to know myself a little bit better because I'm in a new environment, in a new setting, in a new business, in the same ecosystem. But those questions I always ask myself. Okay, is my energy all right for this one that I'm up to? And yeah, just bring JP.
I love that, and it's being comfortable with the version of JP, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that, because you can only be that version of you, and I think it's learning to be comfortable. That's why I always use the analogy that I'm almost unoffendable, because I probably know all of my flaws a lot better than you do, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter what you say.
No.
A friend of mine used is it the Eminem film, where in his final kind of diss battle, he just
Eight
says
Mile? What
Eight
is it?
Mile in
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It
yeah,
basically says at the end, doesn't it? He says all of the things that he's going to take the mick out of him for, or rip him on. And he goes, right, so I've already done it. So now what are you going to tell me? And you're like going, if you're really comfortable and own your own flaws, again, it was like what you were saying,
yeah,
owning your mistakes and owning. the good parts of you and the less good parts of you, then you can walk in a room authentic, I think,
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, I think so too.
Um, so one principle you wish every leader understood.
I wrote that down.
Cool.
Um, where is it? Where is it? Um, I'm trying to find it. Shit,
That's
sorry for
okay.
this. No, no, um, what you're trying to do as a leader is to develop the group you're leading. But believing in development and creating an environment where it actually happens are not the same thing. And if you understand what I mean,
Just expand a little bit.
if you believe in development, that's fantastic. But creating an environment where it actually happens are not the same thing.
Correct.
And as a leader, people look to you for development.
Yeah.
And if we're unlocking human potential, because this is what I was doing the hour before we had this one. If we're unlocking human potential, it part of that unlocking is you, but part of that unlocking is sometimes a person that pushes you or
Yeah.
challenges you
Yeah.
or supports you in one way, shape, or form. And believing in development as a leader is not the same as creating an environment where it actually happens. And if you understand the difference, you can create an environment for your belief. And that
Yeah.
development is crucial when you want to unlock human potential.
No, I love that. I love that. I'm going to be clipping that. I like that. I might even be modeling that and using that as one of my own LinkedIn posts. Just
You're
quote me
very
below it.
welcome.
Yeah. No, I love that. How do you turn, so this has been full of insights and I knew it would be, how do we then, for the listeners then, what, from the stuff that we've talked about, how would you take some of this stuff and turn it into action? Because one of my challenges with having good conversations is we listen to a good conversation and everyone goes, "Oh, that's brilliant," but what do we do with that? So if there could be an action that someone could take today, what would that look like for somebody listening?
Uh, to me, it's people first, human first, and then the rest will follow.
Okay.
Look at the person, not at what he is doing, but first, or he or she is doing, but first, what kind of person is in front of me, and how can I help that person? Even though that person is here to help me, how can I help that person? Because then in the end, it will come back to you.
And I guess that's a skill that can be applied in any human to human situation, can't it?
I think
It doesn't
so.
always have to be in a leadership role. It can be a
Oh,
colleague, it can
yeah,
be a friend or a family. It's just,
and anyone.
when you were saying that, your words relentlessly curious, you know, um, ring true in that as well, isn't it? When you're in those situations, and it isn't that human to human, be relentlessly curious of why they're behaving the way they're behaving and the way they're doing it,
Yeah,
rather than with judgment.
yeah.
Mm. Right. Where can people follow you?
LinkedIn.
Is that where you hang out mostest?
I do have an Instagram page, but that's I think it's open, but I don't use it for anything other than taking a picture of the back of my two kids doing something.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't show the pictures. No, LinkedIn. Um,
Yeah, we'll put the link for your LinkedIn in the show notes. That's
yeah,
great.
I do write a few things for a few for the next level group for Dave, for example.
Yeah,
Which I do write a blog for them every now and then. But my LinkedIn page is where I
hang out.
hang out the most. Yeah.
That's cool. What are you working on next? Anything exciting?
Well, for the university, it's ongoing still. So we just had our holiday break, and now it's back to the real world again, helping students find their way in the world of sports, which is super nice. And then there's a few cool projects coming up.
Nice,
I have a few that are under the radar that are just
nice.
super confidential, but they I
Yeah, I
work with
know
a few
that. Yeah,
teams and organizations that I can't talk about, but they
yeah,
are yeah, ongoing. But there's a few things that I'm working with a few athletes one to one and a few business owners that are super exciting. And there will be hopefully I did a Decoded 2025 conference in
yeah,
November in the Netherlands where I invited 100 leaders in sports to talk how to unlock basically human
yeah,
potential, but then for the athletes, not the person working with the athletes, but then the
yeah.
athletes themselves. And that was quite successful, to be honest. So we're probably looking at a new one in 2026. So that's
Part
exciting.
two. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Just,
Yeah, I read some of the comments that people left about that, and all the comments were very, very, very complimentary, weren't they?
I made them
You
uh,
may...
comment. I was just
No,
relentless with this one.
yeah.
Here's the text. Post it. No, 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 no. It was honestly the thing.
Don't
We
believe
had it
that.
the week before in Dublin, right? Or
Yeah,
the two weeks before in Dublin. Um, is there was so much energy between people because they were just excited to be there and
yeah,
like how you and me met. We met in the lobby downstairs in the hotel, and then within the first minute, like Andy introduced you and me, and then he wasn't even in the talk,
no, we got
for the
rid of
next
him.
hour. He was just,
Yeah,
and we were just
yeah,
on and off on whatever life, work, family didn't really matter, and that's what we experienced at Decoded as well.
nice.
Was 100 people that did know each other and didn't know each other, that did know each other, never met before, and it was the topics were fantastic, speakers were top notch, and it helped just to create this energy and buzz. And people, if people stay in the bar till 2 3 in the morning
Yeah,
after a day 9 to 5 of listening and sharing, and then they stay in the hotel uh, pub for that long, then I know I've done a good job. And that was the aim, just to bring a few people together that can learn from each other and develop as a group. And yeah, I think we nailed that one really well. So looking forward
no,
to
definitely.
part two.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that too. So, one final challenge you'd like to set for the audience. I quite like this. So, if there's a listener now who's got to this, gone, do you know what? This has been a really good conversation. There's lots of stuff. What challenge would you set for the audience?
The remainder of January, ask one person per day, what can I do to help you?
So, this might not go out till February, but yeah. So, they might have.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
No, no, it's yeah, challenge. Just challenge yourself to help another. Just it's sometimes uncomfortable to sit in a meeting and you're the assistant of the assistant of the assistant, just there to take notes. Just where can I be of help here? And yeah, you're taking notes. No, it's just ask, just be the first to give the energy, and then you will see people opening up. And hey, that's much appreciated.
Oh,
Just
that's nice.
what can I do to help you? Get me a cup of coffee. Yeah, okay, I'll get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And then do that for a while, and then people ask you, hey, can you help me out? I have this problem. I'm facing this issue here. Give me your thinking. And that's where it's slow progress. Just take your time and don't expect it to happen in on day one.
No, definitely. I love that. So, the challenge, give somebody some energy,
Big time.
see if we can help. I love that. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time. Hopefully we get a part two and at
Hopefully,
some point. Yeah. Is that definitely?
for sure, mate. Let's go.
Brilliant.
Because
Well, listen,
I'm wondering if we touched on the topics we discussed
probably
at the
not.
start. No?
Probably not, but that's okay. I think that's what it's
Okay,
all about.
that's part
Right. Well,
two.
listen, thank you ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And if you've loved the conversation, make sure you follow JP.